Welcome back to another episode of The Spirit Inside. In this episode, I'm going to continue talking about my favorite tequila brand, Generaciones. I'm hoping this is going to be a relatively short episode. I think it will be short just because the history part is going to be really just about the different ownerships and just kind of listing them out. This episode is probably going to be more of a review and a mix and review episode, so let's get to it. So with Generaciones, the thing to understand is that it's a sub-brand of Salsa Tequila. That's the main tequila brand, which is then going to be a company that's owned by currently one major parent company and throughout the years other parent companies. Specifically then with Generaciones, until recently you get basically three main product lines. Their Plata, which is my favorite, and the Pasado, which is kind of a medium length term as far as aging, and then their Añejo, which is their oldest aged tequila. And what's kind of new, I'm a little bit late to this in the sense that, and I had an idea for this, but it's kind of tapered off, is this the idea of a Cristalino type tequila. I have my whole thoughts and opinions of that. Like I said, I'm a little late to the party, but I'm still working on maybe putting on a video based on that. But in a nutshell, it's Añejo tequila, which after the aging process and with most brands, you're gonna have a darker colored tequila from that. And that's gonna have a unique taste profile based on what kind of cask they aged it in. With this new Cristalino or newish trend of Cristalino is that you take Añejo, which is the oldest aged tequila, but then you go through another process mainly just to take out the color. This is also going to change the profile slightly, but I don't think that's really the main goal from the research I've done so far. It's really just cosmetic. I mean, you're drinking Añejo, but you're taking all the color out of it so it's clear like a Plata. Like I said, I have a whole thought about that. I'm hoping to work on that video soon, and just in case it might be a while before I get that out, or if I never do get it out, to me it seems a bit silly. Like, okay, so just, but like, if it's brown or whatever golden color it might be, it's got to be clear. I don't know. It's not to do a whole generational thing, but it's something that the younger crowd's into, and I guess I'm an old guy young at clouds now because I just don't see the point. But anyways, it's a little bit off topic. In the sense, well, it's not entirely off topic because today's product is Generaciones' take on that Cristalino. We're going to now shift to, as far as, like I said, the different ownership of Generaciones. And like I said, this is a continuation of that of Generaciones' history. So if you want more of the introductory history and maybe a little bit more of actually the background of it, there's that video. I'll put a link up in the description. But today we're gonna just kind of recap a little bit and then go into like all the different ownerships that Generaciones has, starting with, of course, the original parent company, Salsa Tequila. As far as a recap, Generaciones was created in 1973, and the idea was to honor, as the name implies, the three generations of the Salsa Tequila brand, the ones that sort of got it started and got it going. And this all coincided with their 100 years of Salsa Tequila making. So that's just my real quick recap of Generaciones' history. Like I said, it'll go a more deeper dive in my other video, and the link will be in the description below. And I would also like to at some point kind of go deeper on Salsa, being the original parent company. But for now, we're just gonna move on to the next part of the history of Generaciones. Like I said, it's not really a deep dive at this point. We're just gonna document all the parent companies that came after Salsa. So like I said already, Generaciones started in 1973, and that same decade though, the Salsa Tequila partnered up with Pedro Domecq, a Spanish brandy producer. By 1988, he had completed the complete purchase of the Salsa Tequila company. So what happened next is that Pedro was acquired by Allied Lions to create Alliance Domecq in 1994, and then that company was purchased by Fortuna Brands in July 2005. After Fortuna Brands made that purchase, they, for reasons, decided to spin out part of that business and set it apart as Beam Inc. in October of 2011. Then in April of 2014, a Japanese company called Suntory bought Beam Inc. to form a new company called Beam Suntory. And as of the making of this video, that is still the current ownership. And I thought about going in a deeper dive as far as each ownership and handoff, but to be honest with you, it didn't really seem to be very interesting. It's just, you know, a bunch of people in suits saying, hey, I'll buy that, and I want that, and it'll make profit here, and selling things off and on, and creating new names when they combined. But so that's going to be it as far as the history part. I'm going to jump into the review next. So let's start with the bottle. In 2009, Generaciones revamped its packaging design. I prefer the older design. The new one is nice too. I like it just fine. The older design did have a smaller footprint, so it did make it easier as far as not taking up too much space in your cabinet. I just like that other design more than the new one, but the new one, like I said, is fine. I read a press release that basically said the reason why they revamped the design of the bottle because they're trying to appeal to a younger demographic. This is kind of a time where tequila was kind of going down, especially with younger people, and vodka was rising, and so I guess this was part of their way of addressing that. Also, I don't know if it was in the same press or a different one, they also said that they made this change to sort of appeal to the more traditional history and honor their history, which I find kind of strange because the older bottles seem more in line with their more traditional look and more traditional in their history. I would say the main reason why they made the design is to appeal to a younger crowd. I remember the older bottle being just a little bit more interesting to look at if you were going to inspect it. This is fine. It's just stripped down and simplified, which is in its own way, it's fine. I wouldn't say this is a bad design at all. I just think that compared to the old one, it makes it a bit more too simple, makes it too more bland, and especially if you're shopping for it on the shelf, it kind of ends up being kind of not sticking out as much. I remember finding that the other bottle design was just easier to spot on the shelf really quickly. One thing they did carry over is that there's these 3 stripes here, and the top one is kind of older and more tethered and ripped apart, which is supposed to be like the older generation. The one in the middle is just slightly damaged, and that's the middle generation. And then on the bottom is a solid shape, and it's pristine, which is supposed to be like the newest generation. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Not much in the way to talk about it. I mean, it's not a bad design by any means. I'm gonna say this one is a solid 4. Now let's see if they keep the 4 as far as being able to open this thing, because that's something that I get a little annoyed with when packaging is just too difficult to get into. This one though is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's just a little bit of a seal and then a cork. There we go. So we'll do aroma next. And I gotta admit, it's kind of throwing me off because it is clear, but this is basically Añejo, which is their oldest one. So yeah, I can tell. This is, it smells like Añejo, which I like too. I just prefer Plata. It's a little bit stronger. Maybe if I let it air out, it'll kind of balance out. I think what we should do is I'll pour it in a glass and smell it that way. Yeah, it's just throwing me off because it's clear, and I know what the Plata smells like, and it smells similar obviously, but because it's been aged, it's gonna have a different smell and taste profile, and I can definitely tell. It's sharper. It still has a little bit of that citrusy, almost like it has built-in lime or lemon into it, but it has a bit of more of that, not necessarily unpleasant, but you can definitely smell the alcohol, that burning smell, the burning sensation in your nostrils. So I find it very appealing. I'll give that, as far as the smell, a solid 4 as well. Now appearance. Oh well, I mean I like Plata, and this is clear like Plata, but if I'm drinking Añejo, I'm expecting it to have some color, something that sets it apart from Plata. I mean, it should be golden or even sort of a caramel, darker color, since it's the older, most aged version. But I mean, this basically looks like water, which basically looks like just the Plata. I mean, I can't say it's anything about it that's off-putting other than that it's weird that it's not a Plata and it's the Añejo. But I mean, I'll give that a solid 5. And then try to show you here on camera when I get a chance. But it's not super heavy and thick as far as the oils of it, but it makes a nice, very distinctive kind of a tattered edge when it clings to the glass. Now flavor. Now there's a reason why I prefer the Plata over Reposado and Añejo. Like I said, I like Añejo and Reposado just fine. I just prefer Plata a little bit better. But, well, let's see if it's just what kind of score I can give it after tasting here. You know what? I'm not even sure if this actually is Añejo. I mean, it says so on the bottle, but taste-wise, it didn't seem all that far from Plata. Which again, I prefer, but then I'm not expecting that from an Añejo, so I don't know if it'll hold that against it or not. For an Añejo, yeah, surprisingly smooth. Maybe the Cristalino, at least in their process, does affect the profile a little bit more. But then again, they get on too much of a tangent, that if you want an Añejo, but that was clear like a Plata and tasted like a Plata, why don't you just drink the Plata version? And then usually, although I don't see a huge price difference between the three different versions that they have, but generally speaking, Plata would be a little bit more affordable because they don't age it as long or at all. Well, it's basically not really aged at all. And the Añejo and the Reposado, they gotta hold on to it for a little while. The taste is good. I mean, I like tequila, I love this brand. Like I said, though, it's not my favorite as far as the three options there, but considering that it reminds me of Plata, on the one hand, I could kind of ding it for not living up to what you expect for Añejo, but I'm gonna give it a 5 because it is what I like, but just bear that in mind that if you are someone who's not really into Plata and you are into Añejo, this might be a bit of a disappointment because it's gonna taste more like the Plata. And to go along with that, the mouthfeel is great. It's very light, it hits. Yeah, it doesn't punch you in the face or in your palate. Yeah, it's very smooth. That's why I like this brand in general compared to other options out there. I mean, there's plenty good options, but the Plata is super smooth, and yeah, it's also super smooth even on the Añejo, which with other brands, I always find that to be either harsher, more intense, especially with the alcohol burn. This is great. I mean, this is a perfect 5 as far as mouthfeel. Yeah. And it clears your palate really quick. You get that little bit of citrusy and smooth. It's kind of like taking pop rocks. It's got that tingly sensation and it just goes down your throat and it's gone. It doesn't hang around too long. So yeah, perfect 5 for that too. Now for the buzz factor. Just a quick reminder, obviously, is that a buzz factor is just a number I assign to it as far as how I feel is how strong it is, the alcohol is, and how potent it can be. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a high score is a good thing or a low score is a bad thing. It could be reversed. And the other thing I'll mention is that I have been doing no other drinking off camera. This is what you see me sip so far is what I've been drinking, and I can already start to feel it. This thing is definitely potent. That's good in the sense that it's not going to sneak up on you. I always say this is a 5 too. I mean, I like the Plata. It's smooth just like this is, but it doesn't have quite the same punch. So maybe that's where finally we're getting to a difference between the Añejo and the Plata. I mean, this definitely doesn't feel it when you taste it, or in the mouthfeel and the flavor, but I can already feel it definitely give me a slight little buzz after just those few sips. And I've eaten today, I'm not on an empty stomach, so yeah, that's a level 5 kind of buzz factor right there. So that's going to give it an overall score of about 4.6. Now I'm kind of interested in trying just the regular Tres Generaciones Añejo, see how this compares with this Cristalino version. Despite what I might feel about as far as the whole concept of Cristalino, the product tastes good. I mean, if it tastes that way with the regular Añejo, and the only difference is it's got color, I mean, I'd rather just get the regular Añejo at that point because this one costs a little bit more, obviously. But if it tastes the same, gives it the same effect and the same pleasure to drink, yeah, I would just save myself a few bucks and get the Añejo version, the regular, without the Cristalino effect. Now, some people have the opinion that something like this, it's too good to be used in a mix. You're supposed to just sip it, and you definitely can. I'm definitely enjoying it just sipping it. But I have a part in this video process where I do a mix review, so let's get on with the mix review. Right, here we are in the mix section. I couldn't find a specific mix for this Tres Generaciones Cristalino. So what I'm done is I'm taking a different mix that uses different tequilas, Cristalino, and just substituted in this one right here, the Tres Generaciones. Now that other one was called the Black and Gold Manhattan, but since we're gonna substitute this one for the other brand's Cristalino, we're gonna call this the Manhattan Generaciones. Now what I like about this mix is that it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Going off just the original listing, which I'll put a link down in the description below. But it's pretty straightforward, it's nothing complicated. We'll start with our ingredients. For us, we're gonna be using the Tres Generaciones Añejo Cristalino. We got Cynar, we got Galliano, and then we need ice. And for this mix, you can use just 2 glasses. One glass is just gonna have ice, and it's just like where you pour your mixes or your ingredients in to mix them in, and then you pour into your final drinking glass. Since the first glass is really just the receptacle for holding up the ingredients, I'm gonna substitute my shaker here. So yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing we're gonna do is, whether you're using a regular glass or a mixer, you wanna add ice to that container. Just a few here. And then I'm gonna already just go ahead and add the ice for what will eventually be the glass I'll be drinking out of. Put in 3 for now. One other thing, of course, you might need is some way to measure out your ingredients. On my jigger here. And the first thing we need is 1.5 ounces of in our case, the Tres Generaciones Cristalino. Another thing I'm not liking about this new bottle so much is that unless you grip it here by the stem, which be, I guess, perfectly acceptable, most people are going to be grabbing it by the body of the bottle, and it's kind of wide, so it's a little bit hard of a pour there. But that's 1.5 ounces of the tequila. Next we're going to add Cynar. Yes, just a 1/4 of an ounce, 0.25 ounces. So I'm going to do this side. So yeah, just in case that wasn't clear, 0.25 ounces of the Cynar. And we're going to use the same amount of the Galliano, 1/4 of an ounce, or 0.25 ounces of a Galliano. For the Cynar, both the regular and the 70 proof, I got a video out, check that out, and as well as I have a video for the Galliano here. What I don't like about this bottle is that it makes for an awkward pour because it's so long. Now there is also option to garnish with an orange or lemon twist. Just get that to that right now. So if you're getting your ingredients together to do your own version of this, that's something to consider. But for me, like all the garnishing part of the mixes that seems more for show. I've had drinks with and without the garnish, and it doesn't really seem to affect. It's just to make it look interesting. Now, it didn't say anything about shaking or anything like that, but I think it makes sense to just give it a little bit of a shake, and that way it chills out a little bit. Nothing about straining it, so I'm not gonna worry about that. So if I get some extra ice cubes, that's fine for me, because it doesn't have a huge yield from what I can tell. Yeah, so you're talking about, a 1/4 of 2 ingredients and an ounce and a half of another ingredient. Doesn't make for a mixed drink with a high volume, but there we are. I mean, it's literally that simple. The Manhattan Generaciones. And we're back from making what I have dubbed the Manhattan Generaciones. Pretty simple drink. Like I said, it's going to be, the Cristalino is going to have to do the heavy lifting here. The volume of liquor you get out of this is kind of on the smaller end, or as far as how much amount you get. And like usually when I see a drink and it's got sort of this amount instead of, like a more full glass, it always makes you think it's something classier and something that's supposed to be more sophisticated. We'll see if that happens to be the truth here. Let's start again with, I guess, aroma. It's weird, it reminds me of Jaeger, which actually makes sense now that I think about it, because the Cynar and the Galliano have a little bit of that medicinal smell. But it's very floral and light. I don't smell any of the citrus. Maybe if I added that garnish, that would help. Boy, it's either not there at all, or it is super light and faint, but what is there is very floral, a little bit light of a medicinal smell. I like it a lot, actually. I just wish it was stronger. I'm gonna give that a solid 4.5. Appearance-wise, I don't know what it is about it, but I'm really digging this color. It's got this amber goldish color. I don't know, it's just something that's very appealing to me. Sometimes when you get colors that are on this end of the color spectrum, it's always like a fine line between something that's appealing and something that looks like pee, or something you find in a urinal somewhere. But it's got a, kind of go with the volume of this mix, it's got a kind of a classy look as far as it. I mean, it's classy in its volume, and the color makes me feel like I'd enjoy this next to a campfire, or a fireplace, I should say, in a study with a bunch of books and leather. Yeah, I really like the way it looks. I'm gonna give that a solid 5. Now, the moment of truth, what I think is probably the most important category is the taste. Oh wow, that is really unique. I mean, I picked this because I wanted the Generaciones to do the heavy lifting and be part of the profile, but honestly, it's just gone, even though there's more of the tequila than it is of the other two ingredients in there. But what we're left with is something, the number one, I like. Something very light, very floral. There's this hint of sweetness at the end. Yeah, that's really good. I think I said that because of the classy nature of it, it would be, in a study with a fireplace, but it's also very refreshing, so you can definitely enjoy this during warmer weather. When I initially taste it, it's very refreshing, like I said. There's the medicinal factor of the Cynar and probably the Galliano a little bit. And there's this hint of sweetness that's on top of everything that's always there until the very end, and then it clears your palate, and it doesn't linger around too much. It's really nice. Took the medicinal part, kind of toned it down, so you're not really into like that Jaeger taste, that medicinal taste. This might be something that you could still enjoy because there's sweetness on top of it, and it just kind of goes through, and yeah, it just kind of swishes around. I really like that. And then as far as the mouthfeel, very refreshing, very light. Yeah, great. I'm gonna say on the flavor, I'm gonna give that a 5 as well. And same thing with the mouthfeel, 5 on both counts. So what does that leave then? That leaves the buzz factor. Had a little bit of a break from the earlier part of the filming, so really just judging the buzz factor on just this mixed drink. Yeah, this is something that will, because of the taste profile and how it has a little bit of sweetness and it just kind of doesn't linger around too much, it gets you in trouble in the sense that it doesn't feel strong when you taste it, but it's definitely, like I said, the tequila on its own is already pretty potent when you just sip it. Then you add in the Cynar and the Galliano. I mean, this is quickly bringing back the buzz I had from earlier that just faded really quickly when I kind of took a pause. And this is it's weird because it's definitely strong now that I'm really sitting and evaluating it, but I feel like you could just kind of keep drinking these because they're so smooth and the taste is so nice. But yeah, it's definitely a 5 as far as the strength of it. So the mixed overall score is a 4.9. That's really good. Definitely highly recommended. Definitely enjoyed trying it out. And what's also really pleasurable is just how easy it is to put together. So if you're at home and you just want a little bit of a drink after dinner or whatever, or you're having entertaining some guests and you don't want to bring out a whole bunch of like blenders and shakers and this and that necessarily, you can just do this directly in the glass. I use the shaker in my case because I just want to try it out. You can easily just do this in glass, like I said. really simple. I mean, just 3 ingredients and optional garnish. Yeah, this is great. So definitely highly recommend this. And with that, like I said, that's a really very, very brief continuation of the Tres Generaciones history. Just, you know, the way salsa was bought and resold and became what it is today. Like I said, this is my favorite tequila. I've enjoyed the Plata for many years. Like I said, I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to the whole Cristalino trend, which doesn't seem as popular now, so maybe I was right about that, but we'll see if I ever get around to making that video. And if you've ever tried any type of Cristalino, especially this one, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it, what's your opinion on Cristalino, and if you tried this particular one from Tres Generaciones, let me know. And until the next time, remember to enjoy the spirit inside responsibly.